For a long time, I tried to avoid silence. Solitude seemed like an enemy, a void that brought to the surface my deepest insecurities and fears. I was always surrounded by people, constantly seeking company, as if the presence of others could fill the inner emptiness I felt. However, over time, I was forced to confront this reality. Life, in its mysterious way, began to distance me from people, from the environments I knew, and from everything that was familiar to me. Suddenly, I found myself alone. Without the support network I once considered essential, without the distractions that occupied my mind. It was a shock. At first, solitude seemed like a punishment, a form of penance for something I couldn't understand. But slowly, I began to realize that the universe was pushing me towards something much greater. A profound awakening that could only happen in silence. During this period of isolation, I discovered that solitude has a much higher purpose than we imagine. It's not just a state of absence of company, it's an invitation to inner transformation. It's when we are alone that we are forced to face our most intimate truths, our shadows, and those things we often try to avoid. It's in this space that the chosen find themselves. Solitude doesn't come to destroy, but to reveal, to shape us, and awaken dormant gifts within us. I realized that instead of being a phase of pain and discomfort, solitude was actually a rebirth process. When the noise of the world quiets down, we begin to hear our true voice. We start to realize that within us, there are incredible powers waiting to be awakened. And that's how I discovered that solitude is the fertile ground where the 9 superpowers of the chosen ones blossom. These gifts are not something you acquire in social interactions or daily distractions. They are forces that emerge from the depths of the soul when we allow ourselves to dive into silence. Throughout my journey, I learned that solitude is the master that many avoid, but is essential for those who are called to something greater. If you have ever felt alone, misunderstood, or distanced from the world, know that this is not by accident. Isolation is a necessary phase, a rite of passage, so that you can discover the power within you. The void, which initially seems like an abyss, is in fact the space where your soul expands, where true transformation happens. Now, I want to share with you the 9 powers I discovered along this journey. These are abilities that allowed me to transform my life and will undoubtedly do the same for you. Each of these gifts was forged in silence and introspection, distinguishing the chosen from 80% of the people around you. These are not just simple talents, but spiritual and emotional forces that guide, protect, and prepare us for our mission in this world. Get ready, because what you are about to discover may forever change the way you see solitude. It is not your enemy. It is your most powerful ally. And through it, you will awaken the gifts that have been dormant within you. First, glacial strength, absolute control of emotions. When solitude sets in, it doesn't come like a gentle breeze, but like a storm that forces us to face our inner demons. The first power solitude awakens is what I call glacial strength, an absolute control over emotions. However, this control doesn't come from simple denial of feelings, but from a deep journey of internal confrontation. Imagine being in an emotional desert where external distractions are removed and your only company is your darkest thoughts. At first, I tried to flee from these feelings. I sought any form of distraction to avoid confronting the truths that emerged in solitude. But inevitably, these feelings returned, stronger each time. The pain of the past, the stored-up grievances, the deepest fears, all were there, waiting to be faced. It was in this internal battlefield that transformation began. Solitude, which once seemed overwhelming, became a training ground for my soul. I learned that I couldn't control what happened around me, but I could control how I responded to it. Every wave of pain I faced became an opportunity to refine my ability to remain steadfast. This glacial strength is not insensitivity. On the contrary, it is the ability to feel deeply without being consumed by those emotions. When anger arises, I observe it, allow it to exist, but don't let it govern my actions. When sadness sets in, I welcome it, but I don't allow it to drag me into despair. It's like being in the eye of a hurricane. Everything around is in chaos, but at the center there is unshakable peace. This emotional control, cultivated in solitude, is a rare superpower. While many react impulsively to the situations around them, the chosen remain calm, analyzing everything with a clear mind. This serenity is not something learned from reading books or listening to others' advice. It is something acquired only in the fire of solitary experience. Just as steel is forged by heat, the soul of the chosen is tempered by solitude. This glacial strength manifests practically in numerous situations. When confronted by external challenges, a dispute, an unexpected loss, a provocation, the chosen one does not overreact. He responds with a calmness that unsettles those around him. And this calmness is his secret weapon. The world may be crumbling, but within him there is a fortress that no one can shake. 2. Expanded vision. The gift of seeing beyond the visible. Solitude has the ability to distance us from external noise, and in return, it grants us a clearer vision of the world around us. The second power solitude awakens is expanded vision, an almost supernatural ability to see beyond appearances and perceive hidden truths. In the silence, away from the distractions of everyday life, I began to notice things that previously went unnoticed. The masks people wore, the hidden intentions behind kind words, the forced smiles that concealed internal anguish. All of this began to reveal itself to me. It's as if, in the quiet, I had developed a new way of seeing the world. While most people are easily deceived by appearances, the chosen ones, through solitude, learn to see with the eyes of the soul. They develop the ability to read the energy of a room, to perceive what lies behind unspoken words. This gift is not mystical or esoteric. It is the result of a sensitivity refined through introspection. Imagine a room full of people. To most, everything seems normal: conversations, laughter, typical social interactions. But to the chosen, every detail tells a story. He notices the evasive glances, the nervous gestures, the long pauses between sentences. Each of these signals reveals something deeper, something others cannot see. This power not only protects the chosen from manipulation and lies, but also grants them a clearer vision of their own path. With expanded vision, the chosen can discern which direction to take, whom to trust, and which situations to avoid. They are no longer guided by illusions or superficial appearances, but by an internal truth that shines with clarity. 3. Crystal clarity, quick decisions, and impeccable precision. Solitude has a purifying effect on the minds of the chosen. When all distractions are removed and the external noise silences, what remains is a space of absolute clarity. The third power that emerges is crystal clarity, a skill to make quick, effective decisions with unshakable precision. Before diving into solitude, I was bogged down by doubts and insecurities. Small decisions seemed like insurmountable mountains. But by being forced to spend time alone, without the influence of other voices and opinions, I began to understand the value of mental silence. The mind, initially overwhelmed by chaotic thoughts, gradually began to organize itself. In this quiet environment, the chosen begin to discern the essential from the superfluous. Issues that once seemed complicated now appear simple. The chosen develop the ability to see beyond the immediate, focusing on what truly matters in the long run. Crystal clarity is more than just decision-making power. It's a gift of seeing the consequences of each choice with precision that baffles others. For many, life is a sea of uncertainties. But for the chosen, solitude offers the time and space necessary to deeply reflect on their actions. Imagine being in a dark room, free of distractions, where the only thing you can focus on is the truth of who you truly are. In this state, the chosen learn to filter out everything that doesn't serve their purpose. This clarity is not the result of impulsiveness. On the contrary, it is born from a long process of self-knowledge. In solitude, you not only reflect on your choices, but revisit the past, learn from mistakes, and mentally prepare for the future. When a decision needs to be made, the chosen has already trained their mind to act quickly, with unwavering confidence. They know that intuition, honed by silence and introspection, will always guide them in the right direction. In practice, crystal clarity manifests in situations where others would hesitate. Amid a sea of options, the chosen sees the right path with an almost supernatural sharpness. This can be observed in moments of crisis, where most people become paralyzed by indecision. The chosen, on the other hand, acts with conviction, cutting directly to the heart of the matter, guided by a deep understanding of what truly matters. These are just the first 3 of the 9 powers awakened in solitude. Each power brings profound transformation, and as the journey into solitude deepens, more abilities reveal themselves, shaping you into a stronger, wiser, and more connected individual. 4. Pain sensor. Deep empathy. Solitude brings a rare and often painful gift, the ability to feel the pain of others in an almost supernatural way. This power, the pain sensor, allows the chosen to perceive the emotional and spiritual wounds of those around them, even when these are well hidden. In my loneliest moments, I was confronted with my own pains. Without distractions, the scars I had carried for years came to the surface. I had to face them, one by one, without the possibility of fleeing or hiding behind mundane occupations. It was a brutal, but transformative process. And curiously, the deeper I dived into my own wounds, the more I connected with the pain of others. This power goes beyond simple empathy. It's as if the chosen carries a spiritual radar, constantly picking up on the emotional vibrations of those around them. They can sense when someone is smiling on the outside, but broken inside. They feel the weight that others try to hide with superficial words or actions. This ability, developed in solitude, creates a visceral connection with human suffering. This deep empathy doesn't manifest only in kind words, but in actions and behaviors that show true understanding. The chosen knows when someone needs space, when they need a comforting word, or even when just a silent presence is enough to offer relief. This sensitivity is a rare gift that few understand, as many are too preoccupied with their own dramas to notice the wounds of others. The pain sensor causes the chosen to be seen as a refuge for those who are suffering, even when they themselves don't know why. People are drawn to their presence, seeking relief and healing, often unconsciously. The chosen, in turn, offers genuine compassion because they deeply understand what it means to face internal battles in silence. 5. Alchemy of time, turning solitude into wisdom and joy. The 5th power is something many fear, but the chosen learn to master: the alchemy of time. While most people see solitude as a waste of time, the chosen learn to transform that time into something precious and productive. Solitude, for them, becomes a spiritual laboratory where they can transform sadness into wisdom, despair into joy, and silence into growth. I remember the days when isolation felt like an unbearable burden. Time seemed to drag on, and boredom set in easily. However, over time, I learned that solitude was a rare opportunity to look within myself, to reconnect with the deepest part of my soul. I began to realize that time, when well used, becomes a powerful ally in the journey of self-discovery. The chosen understand that every second of solitude can be used to grow, learn, and strengthen themselves. While many seek to escape solitude, the chosen embrace it as an opportunity for transformation. They meditate, reflect, and pray, using time to their advantage as a tool to refine their souls. This alchemy of time also allows the chosen to find joy in small things. Over time, what once seemed empty begins to fill with meaning. The joy that emerges from this experience is not superficial, but a deep joy born from inner peace. It's the happiness of someone who has found a home within themselves, without relying on the external world to feel complete. Practicing this alchemy transforms the chosen into someone emotionally independent. They don't need external distractions or the approval of others to feel whole. They have found within themselves an inexhaustible source of contentment, and because of this, they become living examples of how solitude can be turned into a blessing. 6. Energy fusion. Connection with the invisible. As the periods of solitude stretch on, something extraordinary happens to the chosen. They begin to feel and perceive energies that most people ignore or don't understand. This sixth power, which I call energy fusion, is the ability to deeply connect with the invisible, with the energies that circulate around us, whether spiritual, emotional, or universal. During my loneliest nights, I often felt an indescribable presence. At first it was frightening, as if something was beyond my usual perception. But over time I began to understand that this presence was energy, a force that had always been there but that I had never noticed before. Solitude allowed me to tune into these invisible forces, and gradually I began to feel a stronger connection with the spiritual world. Energy fusion is an ability that goes beyond intuition. The chosen not only sense the energies around them, but merge with them, becoming part of the universal flow. They perceive the invisible patterns that connect events, emotions, and even thoughts. While many feel separated from the world, the chosen feel unified, as if they are part of something greater. This connection with the invisible allows the chosen to navigate life with a heightened awareness. They perceive when an environment is filled with tension, when a person is emanating negative energy, or when a spiritual opportunity is about to reveal itself. Solitude refines this sensitivity, allowing the chosen not only to feel these energies, but to manipulate them in their favor, directing their path according to the natural flow of the universe. 7. Silent language. Communication beyond words. The seventh power the chosen develop in their solitary journeys is the gift of silent language, the ability to communicate without words, using gestures, glances, and subtle vibrations. When you spend enough time in solitude, you begin to realize that not all communication needs to be verbal. Presence, gestures, and looks can convey more than words ever could. There were moments in my solitude when communicating with others seemed unnecessary. I could feel what others were trying to say even before they spoke. This power is not about reading minds, but about capturing the essence of the message behind the words. Many times I realized that a simple exchange of glances was enough to understand what someone was feeling or needed. Silent language goes beyond personal communication. The chosen also become more sensitive to the subtle signs of nature, to the world around them, as if the universe is constantly communicating with them through symbols and small details. The rustling of leaves in the wind, the glow of a sunset, the synchronicity of seemingly unrelated events All of these carry messages that only the chosen, attuned to silence, can perceive. This gift makes the chosen excellent observers. They understand more than what is said, and because of this, their interactions with others become deeper and more meaningful. They learn to listen more with their eyes and heart than with their ears, which allows them to have a deeper understanding of people and situations. 8. Internal metamorphosis, continuous growth. In solitude, the chosen enter a state of internal metamorphosis, a continuous process of growth and self-transformation. Just like a caterpillar retreats to its cocoon to become a butterfly, the chosen go through a profound transformation during their periods of isolation. This process is neither quick nor easy, but extremely powerful. When you are alone, without the distractions and influences of the external world, you begin to dive deeply into yourself. That's when the metamorphosis begins. You revisit old beliefs, confront old fears, and question everything you once accepted as truth. Isolation provides the time and space necessary for this rigorous self-assessment. With each reflection, the chosen shed the old layers of themselves, emerging stronger, wiser, and more aligned with their true purpose. Internal metamorphosis is not a single event. It is a continuous cycle of death and internal rebirth. Just as nature goes through seasons of change, the chosen also experience cycles of transformation. Solitude, far from being an end, is the cocoon where the old self dissolves to make way for something new and much more powerful. This constant evolution makes the chosen a figure of adaptation and resilience, always growing, always renewing themselves. This ability to reinvent themselves makes the chosen flexible in the face of change. While many resist the inevitable transformations of life, the chosen embrace them, knowing that each internal metamorphosis brings them closer to their true self. The process can be painful, but the result is always a higher version of oneself. 9. Spiritual conquest, union with the divine. The ninth power, spiritual conquest, represents the ultimate culmination of the solitary journey, and it is, without a doubt, the most profound and sublime of all the powers. This is the moment when the chosen reach a state of oneness with the divine, achieving a direct and intimate connection with the source of all creation. It is the point where the limits of the self, the ego, and worldly concerns dissolve, and the chosen becomes deeply attuned to the universal flow. This power is not simply another step on the path, but the apex of the transformative process that begins in solitude and ends in transcendence. Spiritual conquest goes far beyond the practices of conventional religion or spirituality. It is not about adhering to rituals or following dogma, but about experiencing the divine as an ever-present force in one's life. This power allows the chosen to move beyond the realm of mere belief into a state of pure experiential knowledge. The divine is no longer an abstract concept, but a living, breathing reality, intertwined with every moment of existence. In this state of divine union, the chosen doesn't merely understand the world on an intellectual level. They feel connected to it in every sense. Nature, people, and events are seen through the lens of sacredness, and the distinction between the self and the universe begins to fade. Spiritual conquest reveals the truth that the divine is not external, but an intrinsic part of the chosen's being. It is a state where every breath, every heartbeat, and every thought are aligned with the rhythm of the cosmos. This power cannot be achieved without first passing through the fires of solitude, introspection, and personal transformation. Surrender is the key here. A total and complete surrender of the ego. The chosen must let go of the need to control, to understand, and to rationalize. It is in this letting go that they open the door to the divine. Surrender in this context does not imply weakness or resignation. Rather, it is the most profound act of strength and trust. The chosen comes to recognize that they are part of a larger, unfathomable whole, and they stop resisting the natural flow of life. This trust in the divine, that everything is happening for a reason, that there is a greater intelligence guiding the journey, ushers in a peace and serenity that is unshakable. The chosen walks through life with an inner calm that is untouched by external circumstances. Whether faced with joy or sorrow, success or failure, they remain rooted in the knowledge that everything is as it should be. This deep trust in the divine provides a sense of protection and guidance, even in the darkest of times. It is as if the chosen walks hand in hand with the universe itself, always supported, never alone. With this union comes wisdom, a wisdom that transcends the limitations of time and space. The chosen develops an intuitive knowing, a form of guidance that feels as though it comes from beyond. Decisions are no longer made based on logic or impulse, but are deeply aligned with the rhythm of the universe. The chosen becomes a vessel through which divine will can manifest. This heightened intuition often manifests as what some might call synchronicity. The chosen may notice patterns in their life that feel too perfectly aligned to be mere coincidence, meaningful encounters, events that unfold at just the right moment, or insights that arise seemingly out of nowhere. These are the fingerprints of the divine, signs that the chosen is in harmony with the flow of the universe. Moreover, this wisdom is not just for personal benefit, but serves a higher purpose. The chosen feels a calling to use their insight and connection with the divine to serve others, to be a channel for healing, guidance, or inspiration. Their actions are no longer driven by personal ambition, but by a desire to uplift and contribute to the collective good. Perhaps the most beautiful gift of spiritual conquest is the ability to live in a continuous state of grace. Grace, in this sense, is not simply an occasional blessing, but a constant companion. The chosen moves through life effortlessly, as if carried by an invisible force. Obstacles that once seemed insurmountable become stepping stones. Challenges that once caused fear now serve as opportunities for growth. Living in grace does not mean a life free of difficulty or hardship, but it means that the chosen faces life's trials with an unshakable calm and acceptance. Even in adversity, there is a quiet understanding that all things are unfolding as they should. This state of grace allows the chosen to remain open and receptive, fully trusting that the universe is always working for their highest good, even when circumstances seem challenging. This grace also extends to others. The chosen becomes a source of peace for those around them. Their very presence exudes calm and reassurance, and people naturally gravitate towards them for comfort and guidance. The chosen does not need to preach or convince others of the divine. Their life itself becomes a testament to the power of living in harmony with the universe. While spiritual conquest is the pinnacle of the solitary journey, it is also just the beginning of a deeper, more expansive path. This power transcends all others, but it also serves as a gateway to continual evolution. The more the chosen aligns with the divine, the more they discover that this union is not a destination, but a dynamic, ever-deepening relationship. In this state, the chosen realizes that the journey of the soul is infinite. There is always more to learn, more to experience, more layers of the divine to uncover. With each new revelation, the chosen moves deeper into the mystery of existence, where the ordinary and the extraordinary merge, and every moment becomes a sacred dance with the divine. In this eternal dance, the chosen understands that the separation between the self and the divine is an illusion. They are not merely an individual soul striving to reach God. They are an expression of God, manifesting in human form. This realization brings with it the ultimate freedom, the freedom to live without fear, without attachment, and without limitation. These are the 9 powers that solitude reveals to the chosen. Each one is like a rare jewel, polished by hardships and silence, and each contributes to the building of a strong, resilient soul deeply connected to the universe. The journey is not easy, but every solitary step brings you closer to your essence, closer to your true purpose. Solitude is not a punishment but a disguised gift. It is a space where you are molded, refined, and prepared for your destiny. As you open yourself to this journey, you realize that each moment of isolation is, in fact, an opportunity for growth and discovery. It is in this space that hidden gifts begin to manifest, revealing the true strength that resides within you. When we embrace solitude as part of the path, we discover that we are stronger than we imagined, wiser than we thought, and more connected to the divine than we ever dreamed possible. The challenges of life become stepping stones for growth, and silence becomes a patient and loving teacher, guiding us to our greatest fulfillment. Now that you understand the transformative power of solitude, it's time to take action. If you feel that you are one of the chosen, that you are destined to walk this journey of self-knowledge and revelation, leave a comment with the phrase, "I am chosen." By doing so, you affirm to yourself and the universe that you are ready to unlock these hidden powers and live your truth with courage and determination. And if you want to continue receiving deep and inspiring content that helps you further explore this journey, subscribe to the channel now. By subscribing, you join a community of souls seeking spiritual growth, ready to awaken all the potential that God has placed within each of us. Don't miss the next videos, where we will explore even more the paths of the chosen and how you can use these powers to transform your life and the world around you. Your transformation begins here. Are you ready to take your place among the chosen?